Can you hear me now? This has been happening. So I am back. Welcome back into the live show. Just skip ahead maybe about a minute if you just jumped in here. But welcome back to LTL Media here, the Let's Talk Live show. It's Sunday night, and it is, what is it, November 3rd already? Is it already November 3rd? It's November, what's the date today? November 3rd. November 3rd. But it's nice to see everybody in here. I feel like I've been away for quite a long time. Obviously, I've been super busy here creating this space and getting everything lined up and into position. And like I was saying before, it's about 95% done in here. I'm feeling good about it. And, it's coming along. We have still some things to do in the green room. We'll get that all buttoned up and then hopefully get a camera in there as well and start kind of showing you what's going on in that area. So it's looking good. It's feeling good. The space feels nice and energized. And I've been super happy with it. So, I want to come back live tonight. It's been a little while since I've been back. I know there's been a super buzz about the Karen Reed Vanity Fair article. It dropped in 2 parts. My plan tonight is to go through part 1 and then come back on Wednesday night and go through part 2 as well, and just give you kind of my thoughts. And, I'll opine on some of it. And I have a presentation that we're going to bring up here in a minute and get into it. But nice to see everybody here again. Like I said, the live show. Let's I'm just trying to do something here. Hang on. Bear with me for a second. I'm not sure if this is working. But what I want to do tonight is I want to create a goal. I don't know if this is working or not. So they have this new thing, a super chat goal. And I want to see if we can do it. Maybe this is too long. Let's try this. I don't know. Bear with me a second. I want to try this thing out tonight. Is my goal working? Let me try this. So how's everybody been? Have you missed me? I've missed everybody. I feel like I've been away forever. But again, I've just been super busy in here. Let's try this. I don't think this is working. I don't know. All right. It's live, but that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to make it bigger, longer. See goal. No. Anyway. Okay. Well, we tried. I was trying to do super chat goal. You can do like this little super chat goal. And what I want to do tonight is 25% of the overall goal will get donated to Karen Reed's Defense Fund. I'd like to at least get $50 to her tonight via the Defense Fund, but I kind of screwed up this super chat goal. So I don't know. Maybe we'll go through it. Maybe we'll miss it. I have no idea, but we'll try. Janelle, thank you so much for being a member. So this is not working. Hang on. Good evening, everyone. Hey there, Brian. Janelle, 2-month member. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I'm stumbling through. I have a new monitor in front of me. It's a smaller monitor because the one that I had before was huge. And I wanted to kind of downsize that, but I've been having just got to kind of get used to everything. But anyway, let's get to the show tonight. I don't want to waste too much more time here. I just want to welcome everybody in again. It's nice to be back. It's good to be here. Nice to see everybody here. Let's get into the live show. So let's just start this off. So we had some good news in Karen Reed's civil trial the other day. I know I'm a little bit behind. I'm about a week behind all of this stuff, and I'm sure you've all heard about it, but we could do some recap, right? So Karen Reed will not be deposed in the civil trial case until criminal trial concludes. This is a huge win for Karen Reed. Let's listen to this from Channel 10 in Boston. Let me
an important legal victory
caught
today.
up.
A judge in her civil case agreed to delay
A good judge. Look at this. A good judge.
Death lawsuit she's facing. NBC 10's Eli Rosenberg joins us live in Boston to explain what that means. Eli?
And Corey, tonight we are hearing from John O'Keefe's family reacting to the decision by a judge today in that wrongful death lawsuit they filed against Karen Reed. This as the focus also shifting to right here. This is the Supreme Judicial Court site of a major hearing scheduled for the middle of next week.
Both warranted.
For Karen Reed, a Friday legal victory as she prepares for a hearing in the Commonwealth's highest court.
This case has so many complex
chapters to it. She can't try to shield it.
The latest chapter, a judge ruling Friday that lawyers representing John O'Keefe's family will have to wait at least 6 months before they sit down for a deposition with Reed. O'Keefe's family and estate filing a wrongful death lawsuit against Reed. Criminal prosecutors in the lawsuit both allege Reed hit O'Keefe with her SUV after a night of drinking in late January 2022. The
Wait a
judge
minute.
did rule other discovery can continue.
You expect that the plaintiffs will focus on those.
Wait a minute. I gotta back up here. Did I just hear what I thought I heard? Hang on here. I heard this correctly. Did I just hear the reporter say that Karen Reed hit John O'Keefe, or did they say allegedly? Did I miss a word there? Let me get here. Donna, thank you so much for the $2 super sticker. I appreciate that. Did I miss something here, chat? Did I miss that? Did I hear Channel 10 say she hit John O'Keefe? Let's wait a minute. Let's back that up, because that's false reporting. Let's hear this.
In the lawsuit, both allege Reed hit O'Keefe with her SUV.
All right, the civil lawsuit. Okay, I'm like, what? They're saying that in the civil lawsuit. Got it.
There's so many complex chapters to it. She can't try to shield it.
The latest chapter, a judge ruling Friday that lawyers representing John O'Keefe's family will have to wait at least 6 months before they sit down for a deposition with Reed. O'Keefe's family and estate filing a wrongful death lawsuit against Reed. Criminal prosecutors in the lawsuit both allege Reed hit O'Keefe with her SUV after a night of drinking in late January 2022. The judge did rule other discovery can continue.
You expect that the plaintiffs will focus on those closest to her and gather the information from her father and brother.
And now, all eyes shift to the Supreme Judicial Court, where justices will hear oral arguments on Wednesday. Reed's lawyers asking them to rule the judge in her first criminal trial shouldn't have declared a mistrial.
If in fact the court goes the route that there was no manifest necessity, period, then that would mean there should be no trial on any of the charges and Ms. Reed goes free.
But legal experts say it won't be easy to persuade the SJC justices around this argument, or the one centered around the jury's reported unanimous not guilty votes on 2 of the 3 charges. Votes that were never discussed in open court.
I think it's a long shot, but they're swinging for the fences anyway, so you might as well ask for the whole thing.
Only a fool predicts what's going to happen in court, because court is totally unpredictable. But I would predict that the defendant does not get any relief.
The O'Keefe family out with a statement tonight saying, in part, while she makes herself, referring to Karen Reed, endlessly available to anyone who publishes what she says, we must wait months or even years before she'll have to answer our questions under oath. We will watch and read these ever-changing stories that don't square with what we know is true. We mourn John, holding out hope for justice through the courts. So that's the O'Keefe family in their own words tonight. That SJC hearing here is scheduled for Wednesday morning.
Interesting.
I'm in Boston, Eli Rosenberg, NBC 10 Boston.
So here's my whole thoughts on this, is that I really, really hope that the O'Keefes are ready for this civil suit. Because I'm going to tell you, when you just deposed in a civil suit, you can get everything. So I hope that all their ducks are in a row, no pun intended. I hope they know what they're doing here, because Karen's legal team is going to have privilege to everything. Everything will be out there. Every communication, every text message, every document, anything they want, they're going to be able to get that. It's a little bit different than a criminal trial. And I'm going to tell you right now, and I was going to talk about this tonight, because a lot of people have been asking, like, what is Karen looking at here legal-wise? I mean, my estimation, before this gets to see a courtroom or a judgment in this, probably 3 to 5 years, going through all these depositions, all these motions, all the discovery. That's just civil. That's just civil. And again, I'm not an expert, but from what I've read and I've researched, at least 2 to 5 years for a civil trial to at least hit the courts. And then to see a judgment could be 5 years. Karen's in this for a long time. And I'm just telling you, I hope the O'Keefes know what they're doing here, because everything is going to be on the table, because you get a lot more in a civil trial than you do a criminal trial. And that's why Turtle Boy always, when people ask him, are you so afraid if, they're going to sue you civilly? And he goes, Jen McCabe's going to sue you civilly. He goes, please, sue me. Because you're going to get everything. You get everything in the civil trial. Phone records, conversations, text messages, emails, anything. You get it. Let me go back to this. I just saw this come up, and I kind of want to address this. And I put my spectacles on for this one. I just kind of address this and get all this out of the way. So Big Squirrel asked, hey, LTL Media, I heard the Roccos are the owners of the popcorn company. You know, that same one that takes half the donation? He just so happens to be pimping some serious popcorn. Well, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know who owns the company, nor do I really care who owns the company. As long as it's doing something good for Karen, that's all that matters on the LTL Media channel. And I'm going to go in a little bit of this because I've been seeing a lot of this and hearing a lot of this. And I'm seeing a lot of kind of the sharks eating the sharks lately. And I don't really care to comment on any of it. I don't think that it's productive. I don't think that it brings anything to the table. People can have their own thoughts. Whatever they decide to talk about on their own channel is their own business. I tend to stay out of it. I don't think that it helps any of it. And I would just say this. If you have a question for someone and it's not me, let's just say Nick Rocco, Sean on the Golf, Turtle Boy, The Glare, whoever it is, believe me, all these people are very, very accessible. If you have a question for them, get in touch with them. Ask them. They may answer, they may not answer, but I'm not going to live in that space. I'm not going to live in, I heard this and I heard that and rumor this and rumor that. My whole thing is, you have an issue with me, reach out to me. I'm pretty accessible. I have multiple areas and avenues that you can reach me. We can have a conversation. We can hash it out, whatever it may be. But I don't care to talk about any of this stuff on my channel. It's just not what I do here. It doesn't make anything productive. But I would just say, hey, listen, I think it's great that you're a channel member. And I would just say the Roccos are pretty accessible. So if you have a question, reach out to Nick Rocco. I'm sure he'd be able to clear anything up. Or if you have any issues with anybody else, I'm sure they can all clear all that stuff up. So if anybody wants to contact me, if they have questions personally about maybe something I said or did or whatever, I'd be happy to explain it and give you my explanation on it. But I don't I don't do things here on this channel to try to bring, an audience in or whatever, or have, people just do whatever they're going to do. That it's their business. It has nothing to do with me. I've been off YouTube literally for probably over a week. I've done a couple members only test streams, but as far as all the other stuff that's going on, I don't really pay attention to it. And I don't have really a lot of time to watch other creators. There's nothing against them or their channels. I think everybody's doing a great job supporting Karen Reed in whatever they do. And if they decide to donate money to her and help her out, that's their business. If they decide to keep the money for themselves, that's their business. I here have made it a point on my channel, as much as I can try to help out, I try to donate at least 25%. We do a Karen Reed stream and I announce it, 25% of that back to Karen Reed's defense fund. That's just me. Or if other people want to talk about other people on their channel, have at it. That's their business. But I'm not going to do that here. And again, if anybody has a question or problem, they can get in touch with me. It's no problem. I have no problem talking about it. So anyway, that's not the primary goal of what I want to do here tonight. I do want to go through the Vanity Fair article, part 1. And what was I going to say? I'm just trying to look at my videos and get everything lined up for my live stream tonight. Okay, that's over. All right, let me pull up my presentation here and we'll get into the Vanity Fair article. I put this together the other night. Let's see. Let's present that. Present that. Let me go back to the beginning. Go back to the beginning. I'm going to take off my specs here. I'm not going to be able to read. I'm still getting used to the setup because now I have the big screen in front of me, and I'm still kind of getting through that and managing that, where I used to have my screen in front of me. The screen's a lot smaller, so it's hard sometimes to see everything because I'm old and decrepit. All right, let's share my screen. Let's get into the Vanity Fair article. All right, part one. We're going to talk about part one tonight. I did get an opportunity to read through it. I thought that it was a fantastic article. I'll be honest with you. I reached out to, let's see. I got some messages coming through anyway. Let's see. So I reached out to Julie Miller, and I forgot that she's having a baby. And she's actually on maternity leave right now, and she will not be back in her office until March. I reached out to ask her if she wanted to come on my show and opine about, I'm using that word a lot lately, and opine about her article and her time with Karen Reed. I'd love to hear about it. So maybe I hear something here when she's back from maternity leave. We can have her on the show and talk through that. But she has an automatic message that sent back today and said, I'm out of the office until March. And I forgot about that because I totally fried out of my brain that when she was talking about, she's like, I'm pregnant. I'm going into into someone's home that's being accused of murder. And that was really the first, couple of paragraphs in the article. So I thought it was great. It was well written. I think she asked questions and she did great journalism. She got down to the nitty gritty and wasn't afraid to go out and search for people and ask them questions. You hear a lot of that in part two. You hear about the Asian house. She had a conversation with the people that live there. And I thought it was a really great article, really, really well written and great research journalism and not having the fear to put anything out there. So, I wanted to get to this first. So I tweeted about this the other day. So after the Vanity Fair article dropped, the O'Keeffes put a statement out via WCVB. And the funny thing is, if you look at all of this, who are the people that have not had anything to do with any documentaries or any articles? And they have been asked to make a statement. The only time that we really heard anything open was after court when Paul did that, the small interview with her first name's slipping in my mind. Is it Christina Rex? And he sat down with her and did like a 20-minute, 30-minute interview with her, regarding the kind of the after effects of the trial and what the family has been going through. But they put this statement out, and I wanted to read through this really quick. So it says, Karen Reed has told many stories about the 2022 death of our beloved John O'Keefe in extensive interviews for a 2-hour network specials, a 2-part series in a glossy national magazine, many local news stories to the bloggers and social media posters. But while she makes herself endlessly available to anyone who publishes what she says, she must wait months or even years before she will have answered our questions under oath. We watch and read these ever-changing stories that don't square with what we know is the truth. Oh, what you know is true. We mourn John, holding out for hope and justice through the courts. So I have kind of the issue I have with this statement. Karen Reed's story, or the lineup, the events have never changed from what I've heard. And it's funny because when I read through the Vanity Fair article, I went, holy shit. This is the same exact timeline, the same exact information she gave me when I sat down with her for almost 4 hours and had an on the record, off the record conversation with her. And I said, wow, I just feel like I kind of been, kind of warped into this article. I mean, this is all the information and all the questions that I asked, she answered. The story hasn't changed. The only stories that have changed are the witnesses that have been up on that stand. And if you listen to any of their first testimony, their prior testimony, and if we go to a second trial here come January, what's going to happen again? Their fucking stories are going to change again to get everything in line. And it's funny, when I sat with Karen, she said, That is the most absolutely frustrating thing in all of this. One, we've gone through this long 10-week trial. I come out on the other side of it. It's a mistrial. Now I have to spend all this money and gear up again to go back for these same motherfuckers to get up on that stand and lie again and change their story completely because they know it's not in front of the same jury. So they can get up there and fucking spin their story again. But the good thing is their testimony is on record and it can be pulled and it can be put in front of them. That is not what you said during the first trial. That is not what you said during your testimony. You are changing your story again. And we heard that in the first trial. They changed their fucking story. They changed their story. It was so bad that like Jackson would end with someone on Friday. They would come back on Monday and their fucking story changed over the weekend because they had time to discuss it. They had time to spin the narrative again. But she said to me, that is the most frustrating thing about this because they think they're going to get slick. They're going to in front of a new jury if this goes to trial. And they're going to just change their fucking story again. And my attorneys are going to have to dig all that out and bring it up again. You're changing your story again. Excuse me. So, that's where we're at. So let's move on here. So my whole thing is, why not question? Why not question? Why not question that night? You've already automatically defaulted to Karen has hit John. You don't have questions. You wouldn't sit down and say, okay, well, can you tell us what happened? Okay, well, you're at the waterfall. You drove over to 34 Fairview. You dropped John off. You walked up to the house. Who was there? What were they like that night? What was their demeanor? Was anybody drinking? I mean, I would have all those questions, but automatically we're going to default, and we're going to talk about this later in the presentation tonight, that when Karen comes back to John's house, Peggy already is saying, Karen asks Paul, what did he look like? Oh, it looked like he went 5 rounds with Tyson. Peggy automatically goes, looked like he hit by a car. You know why? Who's in her head already? Who already made the phone calls? That's already starting to spin the narrative. That's already starting the cover up. I mean, I don't know if this is my child or someone that's dating my child, my son, I would want to know every little bit of piece of information that happened that night. Please go through the timeline of events with us. Who was there? What was there? How many this? How many that? How many cars out front? How many drinks did everybody had? What was the demeanor at the bar? I mean, I would be asking a million fucking questions. I wouldn't just default and say, oh yeah, well, yeah, it must have been her. She hit him and took off. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you ask a mountain of questions? Wouldn't you want to sit down with the last known person that dropped someone off at a house that they haven't ever really been to before, and say, what went on? I don't know. As a parent, I probably want to know everything. Tell me everything. Tell me everything that you want. No, let's just go, well, sounds like she hit him. I don't know. Looks like someone hit him. So now you're going to essentially chase that person out of the house? Karen turns to her dad and says, I don't think we're wanted here anymore. I can kind of feel the vibe in this room, in this house. I can see where they're going to start pointing this thing at. Time to go. All right. Let me bring this back up. So we move on. So Vanity Fair part 1. Let's get into this here. So like I said, remember, I spent time. I had the opportunity to go out, sit with Karen, have a nice dinner, had an on the record, off the record type of conversation. And it kind of filled in a lot of the gaps. And the thing is that a lot of the same information that I heard and read in that Vanity Fair article is pretty much the same thing that she let us know at this dinner. And I was joined by Dave Collinet from Barstool Sports. We had such a great time. Dave sat down. He got right into it. Bang, let's go. Let's do this, he said. Let's do this. And had a mountain of questions. And it was a lot of information. It was a great opportunity to be able to do that. And I am, forever so thankful that we had that opportunity to do that. And Karen was gracious. She was open about everything. She didn't turn any questions away. She said, I'm here. I'm going to be fully transparent. And you're going to see that in the Vanity Fair article. I mean, this is what she's been, full and transparent through this whole process. So let me throw my spectacles on here. And, it says here, right there, in that the red line, and it starts off, and it's strange for journalists to stay at a subject's home. But Reed offers was audacitations 3 days during which she would discuss every aspects of her life in complicated legal saga with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. There will be no lawyer present or conversation parameters. She's open to everything at this point, even though anything she tells me on the record could be used against her in forthcoming trial. Quote, there's nothing we're afraid of, she told me. Quote, any questions you have, I have answers for. This is the same thing. Excuse me, I'm turning my fan on. This is the same thing in the same way she was when I sat down and talked with her. And I threw hard questions at her. I threw tough questions at her. I wanted to see how she would answer them. She looked me right in the eyes and answered my questions. And she would say, on the record, off the record. There's a lot of information. All right, we go on. The plan. And this is crazy. I mean, this is how Karen has to live her life now. This is how she has to live her life. She has to have a little jail bag, if you want to call that, an arrest bag. On an August morning, Karen Reed is wheeling in my suitcase into her 4-bedroom Mansfield home. Her minimalist colonial is embedded with clues to her current existence. A Ziploc bag, in case of a sudden arrest, sits hidden in the buffet of her blue dining room. In it, Advil, melatonin, a toothbrush, toothpaste, hairbrush, drugstore lipstick, strip of paper with her lawyer's phone number on it, because what would they do? They would seize her phone. And a bottle of Laurier, I'm going to get this right, Laura Mercier Foundation left over from her previous life. A copy of David Roloff's American Injustice, a 2021 account of a horrifying prosecutorial misconduct, rest atop a stack of finance books, a burner phone, and SIM cards purchased after Reed learned authorities were tracking her this year, is stashed inside a safe box beneath a scenic painting. In her closet, a framed Rebel Without a Cause poster, and that's Marlon Brando, if anybody needs to know who that is. Poster stands behind the poster board, exhibits from her last trial. This is how she has to live. This is how she's been living. She lives and breathes this case every single day. Every single day. Maybe, there's been some conversation about, oh, well, she hasn't been that public. She hasn't been out there. She's got a huge responsibility ahead of her right now. She's preparing with her lawyers. What Karen Reed chooses to, do in this very moment is going to be on her. This is nerve-wracking and very expensive, that we're going to find out here in this article, coming up here in the article. Hang on one second. Your daughter has the same poster? That's great. Yeah, thank you, Lauren. So, 25% of all donations tonight will go to Karen Reed's defense fund. I'd like to try to at least get $50 for Karen. So let's go on. Let's move on with the presentation. So we got the huge expense. Quote, Karen says, I'm not backing down now. Reed told Vanity Fair, as scary as a potential conviction is, I will go to jail for something I didn't do before I plea out. I will never give them that win. Says now Reed is living off what remains of her 401k. Not long after my visit, she sold her house to subsidize her legal expenses. She still owes more than $5 million. I want everybody to get that in your head. $5 million in deferred fees for her highly skilled defense team she marshaled. Reed's first trial ended on July 1st with a shock but no conclusion. Norfolk County Superior Court Judge Auntie Beverly Cano declared a hung jury in a mistrial, a conclusive that 5 jurors have since come forward to contest, according to the defense, saying that the jury had unanimously voted to acquit Reed on the charges of murder and leaving the scene and were only divided on the manslaughter charge. District Attorney Michael Meatball Morsi office plans to prosecute Reed again on all 3 charges with the trial date set for January. Reed's team has taken the matter to the Massachusetts Supreme Court and will argue on November 6th, and that's literally, 3 days away, of the charges to be dismissed on the grounds of double jeopardy. Also on her side is the ACLU, which filed a amicus brief backing that the argument in criticizing the court. The DA's office declined to answer. No one wants to talk. No one wants to talk in the prosecutorial side. The O'Keefes don't want to talk. The DA's office doesn't want to talk. No one wants to say anything. So on November 6th, we'll go to the SJC. They're going to argue there in court. $5 million. $5 million is a lot of money. It's a ton of money. It's a ton of money. Lee says $5 million is a huge debt mountain. That's why, that's why every little bit that we can do to help helps along the way. All right, let's go to the next slide. So violated. Excuse me. Other than feeling wrongfully persecuted and prosecuted, I feel, this is from Karen, I feel incredibly violated. Reed tells me, police have visited her home in 3 months, seized her phones twice, subpoenaed her family financial records and her private text messages. Her most intimate thoughts have been presented to the world, discreet and debated by the public. Her personal tragedy is many people's true crime entertainment. Even though the second trial, scheduled to begin on January 27th, will offer more of the same humiliation and intrusion, and plunged her deep into depths of seven-digit debt. She's pushing forward. I'm sorry. I can't see the screen. Quote, I'm not backing down now, she said. As scary as potential conviction is, I will go to jail for something I didn't do before I plea out, and I'll never give them that win. That's balls of steel right there. That is balls of steel. Balls of steel. And she's right. Why give them that satisfaction to take a fucking deal when you didn't do anything? Oh, take this deal. You'll be out in 5 years. Why? I didn't do it. So I can go to jail for 5 years and waste 5 years of my life and then be, convicted criminal for the rest of my life? You're crazy. If I didn't do something, I'd be fighting just like her. Incredibly strong person to not back down from this. And again, you all have made an absolute difference in Karen's life. To stand out, do what you do, stand out there on Sundays, raising awareness to the locals here in Massachusetts or wherever you may be across the nation. You standing out, you standing up for Karen Reed, because this could be you. This could be you in this position right now. I hate the fact that Karen's in this position. I've had the opportunity to get to, know her on a certain level. It sucks. It sucks that she's having to go through this. $5 million in debt already. Just think, second trial comes around, it's going to be more than that. She has more expert witnesses and, excuse me, and specialists that will come into this trial to help. That's going to could be $7 million for this trial. Should be $15 million, $12 million in debt by the time this is out. Then you're going to go battle with the fucking O'Keefes in the civil trial. Big Paul wanted to get that done before the criminal trial. Let's get that money. Because you know why? They know they're never going to convict her in a criminal trial. They know that. Because she didn't do it. And they're going to parade that plague of witnesses back up there again and have them spit a bunch of shit over and over again. I mean, I fucking know people that didn't even know anything about this trial. Didn't know anything about this case. I said, if you have the opportunity, just turn it on for a day. Here's the people that you want to watch. XYZ, Higgins, Jen McCabe, Brian Albert, Colin Albert. Watch that testimony and tell me if you think those people are fucking lying or not. And then they go, oh my God, the people that are up there that have said witnesses, are they the ones that are on trial? All right, let's move on here. Okay, I want to stick on this one. Nice to see everybody here. So, look at this. Peggy's here. Peggy. Hi, Peggy. Sophie's here. Nice to see you. Sophie says, it breaks my heart that this is the life that she has to live. She does not deserve this. Not at all. Yeah, we can try to help, and we've been trying to help. It's especially what I try to do here on this channel. Help out as much as I can. Help out as much as I can. And believe me, it doesn't go unnoticed. Your help does not go unnoticed. Your awareness does not go unnoticed. I'm great, Sophie. How are you? Nice to see you. All right, let's go to the next slide. So I kind of want to read through this, kind of talk about some of the points here. And my question is, they slept through it? When Reed woke up the next morning, panicked that O'Keefe was not home, she met up with two of his friends, Jennifer McCabe, who was at the Alberts' home when Reed dropped off O'Keefe, and Carrie Roberts, to look for him. At about 6 a.m., the woman pulled up to Albert's house at 34 Fairview, and Reed spotted O'Keefe at the front yard. Hysterical, she jumped out, cleared the snow off her boyfriend's bruised, bloody face, and began mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Roberts administered chest compressions, and McCabe called 911. At times, Reed laid on top of O'Keefe, desperately trying to heat his body, which cooled to 80 degrees. Just want to let everybody know, my typical stream, like I do when I do the Karen Reed streams, I am going to donate 25% back to Karen Reed's defense fund. So if you want to donate and help out, you can do that. We'll cut off 25% to Karen Reed's. I'd like to try to at least get $50 for Karen tonight. Emergency vehicles raced into Fairview moments later, red lights beaming into the dark sky, bouncing off the snow. It was such a spectacle that the neighbor snapped photos. We're going to see that. Neither Albert nor his family members emerged from the house as first responders attempted to save O'Keefe's life. Even in her confusion, Reed clocked this. She wondered whether she had dropped her boyfriend off at the wrong house after a night of drinking. O'Keefe entered an aggressive stranger's home. The Alberts say that they slept through the noise. The neighbor who snapped the photos opines to Vanity Fair that the Alberts' explanation, quote, absolutely doesn't make sense. Reed was so distraught that she was taken to Good Samaritan Hospital for evaluation. Absolutely doesn't make sense. And here we go. I talked about this the other day. I kind of brought this up. Look at that. And I looked at it today. This tweet had over 40,000 engagements, 40,000 views. I think it's probably one of my most well-looked tweets. And there was a lot of people talking about this. So I wondered, where's the video of Karen Reed hitting John O'Keefe? There was a perfect view of 34 Fairview from 31 Fairview across the street that would have captured the event that evening. Ironically, 31 Fairview's ring camera didn't work or record that evening. I bet I know why. The fact that it was law enforcement ties to the resident and would have captured the real killers dragging John O'Keefe out on the lawn that evening, can we say erased? Well, I heard a lot of things about ring cameras. Oh, I have to be within a certain distance. Sound has to be here, sounds that. I asked my landlord here in the building, he has ring cameras. Those suckers get everything. And we have, I'm out on Route 1, so my studio is in here in Rentham. I'm out on Route 1. He's shown me. They capture everything. So I don't know if it's a sensitivity thing. I don't know if it's a sound thing, but his cameras are getting everything. And, the person that lives at that home at 31 Fairview is Thomas Keller Jr., promoted to deputy chief. Canton ties. A little strange. But that was a big argument on Twitter. Now, my landlord's cameras here outside the building, their rings, they get everything. They get everything. Sophie says, I have ring cameras and I catch a lot. There's no way that there would not be footage from that night. And then there was someone in that responded and said, well, that's the fact. Then why wouldn't they show John O'Keefe walking up to the house and going inside? Well, how about this? Because if it did capture that, what would be on the back end of that? It would be them dragging him out, leaving him in the snow. And wouldn't it be a little weird if that video was presented and we watched John O'Keefe watching the house and then, mysteriously, halfway through the video, just like the Sallyport video, it gets inverted, twisted, deleted, scrambled, whatever it is. Doesn't show it at the end. It would be a little weird. And it's funny, too. Couple cameras, library camera. Isn't that a ring camera? That caught Karen Reed driving by, right? We got Karen Reed backing out of John O'Keefe's house, driving up the street. We saw the full video. That's further away than 30 feet, people. And that was the whole thing. Oh, well, you got to be within 30 feet. I guarantee you, if you went out there and measured at John O'Keefe's house, where his ring camera was, when Karen backed out that night and hit his vehicle and cracked her taillight, and then took that long left-hand turn and drove down Meadows, and it followed her. I'm sure that was 30 feet, further than 30 feet. And that camera stayed on. Peggy says, I'm near a fire station, and they rode down the street. It would be really loud. And I'm going to get into a point of that, too. That's a great point, Peggy. I'm going to get into that. All right, let's move to the next slide. So here's your view. Here's your view. That's what it would have caught that night. And they would have been like, oh, they're all going, oh, it would have been, the mound wouldn't have shown anything. It would have been, something would have been in the way. It wouldn't have been the right angle. No, it would have caught it. Yeah, I've walked that neighborhood 1,000 times. It would have caught it. Oh, and here we go. No Chloe. Chloe wouldn't alert. Chloe wouldn't bark. Chloe wouldn't scratch at the door if she's not inside the room. Chloe wouldn't act like a guard dog. Last week, jurors learned a German Shepherd mix with a violent history lived at Canton home near where John O'Keefe's body was found. Lived at the Canton home, 34 Fairview. Violent history. I'm pretty sure that every little thing to disturb that dog probably would have triggered it to bark, to yelp, to howl. I mean, I don't know if that scene right there was, look at the fucking neighbor. The neighbor woke up and took a photo of it. And even if they didn't come down the street, let's just say they didn't come down the street, full alarms blazing. The whaler's on. That neighbor woke up. They took a photo of it. Why didn't Chloe alert anybody? Let me bring this up. This is how dogs act. Here's an example. This is how dogs act when a fire truck is in the neighborhood. This is a German Shepherd. Dog's ears go up. Oh, look at that. Isn't that amazing? Let's just say they're coming down. Fairview, sirens blazing. Wow. It's a good dog. Alerting. Sophie. Chloe would have been 100% doing that. Oh, let me show you another video. Let's just say they didn't come down the street full whalers and lights and, I mean, well, they had lights on. But let's just show you when someone's outside the house. Here you go. Look at that. That's guard dog. That's guard dog. That's alerting the owner. There's someone outside the house. That's what those dogs are trained to do. That's their instinct. That's their instinct. That is their instinct. That's what they're trained to do. That's what they're trained to do. Let me just get to this. Lee, thank you. Gifted one membership. So that's $5. If one of my channel moderators can keep track of the total, maybe we can get a total running here for tonight. And again, 25%. We get kicked back to Karen Reed. I'd like to at least get to $50 tonight if we can. And if not, we'll just roll it over in the next stream and keep it going there. Let's see. Just had a Patricia, thank you. Just paid $5. $5. So we're at 30. Oh, I'm sorry. We're at 7. So we add another $5. Says I don't have much to spare as a single mom of a college student, but I wanted to help free Karen Reed. Well, Patricia, thank you so much. I appreciate it. You didn't have to do that, but 25% of your donation tonight will go back to Karen Reed. And I just had a PayPal come through. Lee, thank you so much. $20 PayPal. So we'll add that to the total. I appreciate that. Oh, excuse me. Okay. Let's move on. Next slide. So then we get into an extremely heartbreaking situation. You see Karen here via the Canton Police dash cam. Says when Reed's father, Bill, arrived at the hospital, a nurse briefed him, quote, your daughter wants to know whether or not John O'Keefe is dead. Can you tell her? You can tell her, or you can tell her with us present. Bill says, quote, I'll tell her. He was led to Reed's mom, where they told her daughter simply, he's gone. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine being the father and having to tell your daughter that her boyfriend is gone? How do you break that news? Because Karen doesn't know at this point. She's hysterical. How do you tell that? How do you get through that conversation? I'd have a hard time doing it. I'm sure you all in this chat would have a hard time doing it. How do you let someone know? Oh, he's gone. Completely. Heartbreaking. Peggy, thank you so much. Big super chat. Love you, Peggy. Love you. Karen Reed is factually innocent. Thank you. Thank you for your donation. I mean, I've gone through those conversations as well. Mary says I've had to do that before. It's not easy. I had the phone call with my sister when my brother was found after he committed suicide. You know, a couple days before that, my sister called me in a panic and said, we haven't seen Kenny in a few days. Have you seen or heard from him? I said, no. This is the last time I saw him. This is the last time I heard from him. Well, we're looking for him. And then, a day later, she calls me hysterical and she's crying and she just says, we found him. We found him. They found him. They found him. And I literally dropped to my knees and my brother was dead. And she had to tell me he was dead. And I literally dropped to my knees. I had one of my friends there. I was actually, I was playing in a band at the time, and we were actually literally carrying my gear out of the house to go to practice. And I got the phone call from my sister, and she said, we found him. He's dead. And I dropped to my knees, and I sobbed. It was just a sobbing reaction that came out. And thank God, I mean, I had my childhood best friend there, and he said, if you need anything, I can stay. And I just said, I'll be okay. And he hung out for a little bit. And then I'm just trying to remember. I remember talking to my sister a little bit and then just calling like my mom and calling around and letting people know and trying to figure out like what happened. But, it's not a good conversation. It's not a good conversation. And, that haunts me every time on his death anniversary, on his birthday. I don't know. He just, for the time that I got to know him, because he was my half brother, I met him in 2000 and we watched the Patriots Super Bowl in 2000. I'm sorry. Yeah. 2001. The Pats, I think, went that year. Because I remember it was the first year we met. And the funny thing about it is, for like years, I thought he lived he'd be in California or Florida or whatever it may be. And we literally connected and we lived 20 minutes apart that whole time. It's insane. It's insane how the universe works. But that's that. All right, let's go back to the presentation. And thank you. I see everybody in the chat. Thank you so much. Courtney, thank you so much. 5 gifted memberships. Welcome to the members group. Your membership helps support this studio and keep the lights on in the studio. Hey, by the way, what does everybody think of the new digs, huh? Pretty good, right? Nice and spacious in here. We got the wide camera now, which is awesome. Super happy about it. I'm loving the digs. Thank you. I see all your sorries. I appreciate that. I really do appreciate it. But we'll move on here. So let me go back up to this article. So 5 gifted members, that's $25. Let's add that to the total. Let's add that to the total. It's a very calming background, Mary. It's very calming. I'm liking it. It's very calming. All right, let's push it on. Let's see. Thank you. I appreciate it. I see everybody's well wishes. Thank you. All right, let's move on here. Okay, so back at John's house, and I can talk a little bit about this because I talked to Karen about this when I met with her. And Erica, thank you so much. Erica just came in with a $25 donation. So we can add that to the total, $25. She says, in the memory of all that have lost to suicide, My community just suffered a huge loss with the passing of Johnny. My heart goes out to, well, Erica, I'm so sorry for your loss. I really, I appreciate that you can share that with us. It's very tough. Suicide is awful. It's not any death of someone close, but suicide is, it's just so unexplainable. You don't get a lot of answers. You don't get any answers. And you can only think of why. And it kind of leaves you with a lot of grief through your life. It's not like, they died of a disease or a heart attack or what it may be. It leaves a lot of questions as to why. And it's tough. It really is. But thank you for sharing that. I honor that. Kelly Reed in the house saying, I love the new digs. Nice to see you, Kelly. Why don't you have a wrench? You should have one. I thought I gave you one. Is this the Kelly Reed? Or is it, if it is the Kelly Reed, text me. Let me know it's you. You should have a wrench. I thought I gave you a wrench. Is someone screwing around? All right. Back at John's house. So Reed insisted that her father take her to John O'Keefe's house to see Kaylee and Patrick. The rest of the O'Keefe family was already there, including his mother, Margaret, that goes by Peg, his father, John Sr., and his brother, Paul. They also came to the hospital where it identified John's body and saw the gruesome condition laid bare under the bright lights. The adults gathered around the kitchen island. It is Kelly. How do you not have a wrench, Kelly? I thought I gave you one. So I apologize about that. Let's get you taken care of. Give me 2 seconds, chat. Give me 2 seconds. Let's take care of Kelly here. Where's my chat? Does Kelly have a wrench? She should have a wrench. Let's see. Yeah, suicide does suck. Kelly, type something in the chat because I don't see you coming up. Someone block you? No bueno. Yeah, give me 2 seconds here. Someone's messing around on my channel. I've noticed a lot of funny business on my channel lately. Let's see. Community. Defaults. Bear with me for a second, chats. If not, I can figure this out later. I think there's some funny business going on in my channel. People coming into my chat and hiding people. Moderators, some moderators. Let's see. I'll square it up later. I don't want to hold the show up too much longer, but I'll have to look into that. All right. I don't see her either, but the funny thing is I see her here. Isn't that funny how that works? I can pull her chat up. I think someone blocked her. No, it's not YouTube. Let's see. She's texting me right now. I wonder if moderators, that people that were moderators, super sketchy. I can't see the chat at all. Interesting. She said she can't see the chat. Only you see her. Yeah, I didn't see a block. Interesting. Anyway, we'll iron that out. All right, let's get back to this here. Hopefully my screen is being shared. Let's see. So Paul says he looked like he went 5 rounds with Mike Tyson, was Paul's response, according to the reads. Huh. I'll hammer that out after, Kelly. That's kind of weird. It is weird. Because I have some things that have been kind of popping up that I find kind of strange. And I have to kind of look at my wrenches again, but let's see. Hoping for answers with a $20 super chat. Let's add that to, Rogue Mods. I think so. And I kind of know a couple of them that I might sniff out here. But anyway, I'll do that behind the scenes. Hoping for answers. Thank you so much. $20. Let's add that to the total. I appreciate that. So $20 more to Karen Reed, to the overall Karen Reed fund tonight. We'll clip 25% and kick that back. So it says he looked like he went 5 rounds with Tyson, was Paul's response, according to the reads. They say Peg made her own assessment. I think he looked like he got hit by a car. Let me talk a little about this. So let's see. Karen told me that she gets back. Essentially the same thing here. She gets back to John's house. Everybody is there. She comes in through the kitchen. Her father is there. And I think there's a living room. And I can't remember. She said there's doors to the living room, but there's Peg on the couch. She has the niece and nephew on the couch with her arms around. She goes over, and I can't remember if she said this or not, but I think that she kissed both the kids, maybe goodbye. But when she got there, she asked, and it's the same thing that she told me at dinner, the same exact thing. She asked, Paul, what did John look like? Looked like you went 5. And here's Peg in the other room, and you can hear automatically, sounds like you got hit by a car. She knew right there that something was weird, something was up, something didn't seem right. And the vibe starts changing in the house. And she looks at her dad and goes into the kitchen and quietly looks at him and says, I don't think I'm wanted here anymore. I can kind of see the way that this is all going to start turning out. And that's when she starts going upstairs, because the vibe in the house is getting very dark now towards her. That's when she goes up, quietly starts collecting some of her things and says, I got to go. Looks at the niece and nephew, Patrick and Kaylee, kisses them goodbye, and says, this may be the last time that I see you. And that's it. And she left. So it says Reed was thunderstruck by the unexpected hostility. Her family realized it was time for her to leave. Reed and her father went upstairs quickly. Again, this is just what I said. Packed her medication, several belongings. Then she hugged and kissed Patrick and Kaylee for what was the last time. It's amazing. The same exact version of events that Karen Reed told me when we sat down to dinner. And the reason that it's the same exact events and it's the same timeline and story is because when you're not lying, it's the same thing. When you lie, it changes. You have to look at documents. Can I see it again? All the shit that we heard in court. All that shit we heard in court. Can I see the document again? Can I read? Can you refresh my mind? Can I look at it again? All that stuff. So it goes on to say that, let's see, she kissed Patrick and Kaylee, would be the last time. A few days later, Reed was in court, ordered to refrain from contacting the O'Keefe family. She said, I felt like all of a sudden it went from being my house to persona non grata, she told me. After they left, she told their father, I don't know what happened, but I feel like Peg thinks I did something. When they got home, Bill searched criminal defense lawyers in Boston. David Unetti's name popped up, thank God, and a picture popped up. Unetti had spent his first decade as a career as a prosecutor. And thank you very much, David Unetti, for putting Charles Janes and that motherfucker, Salvatore Saccari, away for the rest of their lives. Those fucking child killer, rapists, disgusting human beings. As a Middlesex assistant DA, he put 2 men behind the bars, one of the county the most heinous crimes. In 1997, a rape and murder of Jeffrey Curley, whose attackers lured him and promised him a new bicycle. Bill's vetting was more than instinct, a devoted Catholic who prays every day. Okay. Let's move on. So the Massachusetts State Police were moving quickly. They seized Reed's car and phone less than 12 hours after O'Keefe was declared dead. She knew she was a suspect, but her devastation triumphed fear. She was still confused by why O'Keefe's body was in the Alberts lawn and shocked he was dead. Quote, I'd still be with him all week, she told me. We'd still be intimate that night before he was gone. Nettie told Reed to prepare for an arrest. So wrecked by grief and disbelief, she zombie walked through a morning ritual. Excuse me. It was a horrible crime. Jeffrey Curley, horrible crime. Ugh. She showered, did her makeup, blew out her hair, picked up a sweater to be comfortable in jail, and waited for hours on the overstuffed white couch in her living room, where I sat where she recounted the story. 3 days after O'Keefe's death, she was taken into police custody. Jody, welcome in. Good to see you. Hang on a second. Are my chats showing up? This is something funny going on here. Okay, good. It is showing up. Jody, welcome in. All right, so it says an attractive, highly educated finance professional accused of killing her cop boyfriend is leaving a body of another on a cop's lawn was catnip for the Boston media. The morning after arrest, the cameras rolled up where she escorted in handcuffs to her arraignment. She pled not guilty to all the charges and was released on $50,000 bail. A cousin with a criminal record called her with advice. Quote, I've pled to charges where I wasn't even in the state where the crime happened. I wanted to get out of jail. I couldn't post bail, and I didn't have David Unetti. This is a great quote and piece of advice. The cousin warned her that the prosecutors don't always care if they have the right guy, girl, person, whatever you want to say, as long as they have someone behind bars. That's a closed file for them. So let's just pick someone up, blame the crime on them, get them behind bars. Case solved. He said and added, question everything. Question everything. I love that. I love it. Good advice. Excellent advice. Hang on one second. I'm just going to grab a cough drop. Oh, God. I hope I'm not getting sick. Then we had Steve Scallon. Turtle Boy wrote a very extensive article, part 133. He was the whistleblower that reached out to David Unetti, the PI, the private investigator with law enforcement ties. Unetti received a different kind of call on February 2nd within hours of Reed's arraignment. A man with a gravely voice claiming to have a background in law enforcement made an explosive claim. Said he told Unetti that Brian Albert and his nephew had beaten up O'Keefe on January 29th. When O'Keefe didn't come home, he said this mysterious man, Albert, was the unnamed federal agent, that's Brian Higgins, put O'Keefe's body on the front lawn. When Unetti called him back for a more thorough interview, he backtracked, saying that he was only speculating based on photos of O'Keefe in the news, and ultimately recanted his tip altogether. But Unetti points out that the photos of O'Keefe hadn't been released to the time of the first call. And all the other details to the tip line, Higgins, the ATF agent, had been drinking at the Alberts home that morning and had Albert's nephew Colin. Till the tipster called, Reed and Unetti had known that Colin was at the house, and he later testified he was because his name was not on the police report. What a great article. I got pissed. Beyond a bar run that week before O'Keefe died, he never really socialized with Albert, even though both were Boston PD living in Canton, and McCabe and had McCabe in common. Albert had an alluring reputation. He helped unmask the Boston Strangler in 2013 and capture the Craigslist killer before that. The night he died, O'Keefe was eager to join up for a nightcap. When he and Reed arrived at 34 Fairview, though she wondered whether they were at the right address, there weren't many cars in the driveway, and Reed felt uneasy. And she told me that night, because I asked her, I said, Karen, tell me about the moment you left the waterfall and what was the vibe inside the car. She said, me and John were fine. We were driving over, but I had some concerns, just like the article says here, that I felt kind of like uneasy because of the vibe at the bar. And she said, when I got there, basically what she said in that night was at the Nightline interview, like, hey, are we even like wanted, do they want us here? Because I wasn't getting that vibe at the waterfall. She said when Reed arrived, let's see, she felt uneasy. Let me just get to this really quick. I just saw a little super duper doopy chat come through. Paula, thank you so much. $5 super sticker. I appreciate it. And we'll add that to the total. Sophie's doing a great job doing the total. Oh, take that down. So it says, let's see, McCabe had conveyed the invitation, so Reed wasn't sure she was welcome. The couple actually were. O'Keefe said he'd check out the scene and report back, but minutes passed without a word. I got pissed. Reed tells me now she knew that a woman O'Keefe used to hook up with lived a few houses down. And Karen opined on that when I was out at dinner, and she told me, look, I had thought, maybe, he stumbled down into this girl's house and he's fucking hooking up with her. And it would have been obviously a better scenario. There would have been problems in her relationship than, what happened at 34 Fairview. And she said the other thing that was really odd about it too, and I always found this odd too, is let's just say John passed out inside Brian Albert's house on the couch or something, okay? Everybody's still up drinking. It's 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Phone's ringing. Your phone's ringing multiple times over and over and over and over again. And no one's bumping you and saying, hey, dude, wake up. I mean, I've been at parties before when my phone is ringing and I'm passed out. Those are my younger days. And someone's bumping me and they're going, your phone's vibrating or your phone is ringing. Pick your phone up. So it was odd. You're not getting anything like that. So it says, but minutes passed without word. I got pissed. Reed tells me now she knew that a woman that O'Keefe hooked up a few houses down. He's got to be screwing around, she thought. I didn't think he was physically incapacitated. After about 10 minutes of waiting, Reed drove to O'Keefe's house to be with Kaylee, who was at home alone. To Reed, it felt like the Aruba night over and over again. So recent. She sent O'Keefe a barrage of angry voicemails and texts. Here you are. Your boyfriend could be screwing around. Down at the fucking girl's house. He allegedly hooked up with. You're fucking mad. That's why we get the anger in the voicemails. I'd be fucking pissed too. If I thought my girlfriend wandered off and went down to a guy's house that they allegedly hooked up with or reports that they hooked up with, or I knew that they hooked up with, I'd be pissed. I'd probably send the same fucking voicemails too. John, I'm going home. I'm sorry, I can't read this. You're fucking using me right now. You're fucking another girl. Kaylee's sleeping next to me. John, I fucking hate you. It's probably the same things I'd say to my girlfriend if I thought all that. Hello? You're not answering me. I know there's a woman down here that you have either hooked up with or allegedly hooked up with or did fuck. I know about it. I'm thinking you're down there fucking around. Could be inside the house fucking around with someone. Then you're not answering me. And I'm waiting here now. Where are you? I'm gone. See ya. Bye. I'm going home. Be with the kids. Now here, Reed gets charged with murder and the tough conversation with David Yannetti. The second arrest was Yannetti and Reed's first clue to something they say was amiss. It was so dirty and so underhanded that they would go behind my back, Yannetti tells by phone. The DA requested Reed's bail to be set at $500,000. I believe it was to scare me and get some kind of plea deal going. Reed says the second arrest, do 2 years on a lesser manslaughter charge and you will be free, which we were never going to consider. At Reed's second arraignment, Yannetti argued that his client had reason not to flee. Her Crohn's and multiple sclerosis treatments were in Boston. Cano set Reed's bail comparative low at $100,000. Goes on, the day after the upcharge, David's like, listen, I know I'm going to have to enlarge this. Bear with me because I can't read it. The day after the upcharge, David's like, listen, I know this won't be the worst time to have this conversation, but my fees double for murder, she says to Reed. The fees weren't as frightening as the legal shock, though. At that point, Reed says, David and I realize this is fucking dirty. This is not, you said, something that was to be taken the wrong way at the scene, and they got the wrong guy. It's intentional. They're framing me. By September 2022, Reed and Yannetti were running into repeated roadblocks. I'm sorry, my voice is shot tonight, everybody. I apologize. And repeated roadblocks to get basic evidence from the Commonwealth. They hope to get the Google geofence data, which would identify cell phone on the Alberts property on January 29th. Despite desperate for guidance, Reed emailed Alan Jackson, an LA-based lawyer who used cell phone data to get 2019 groping case against Kevin Spacey dropped. Jackson, who worked with the other side too as an LA prosecutor, he put Phil Spector behind bars in 2003 of Lena Clarkson. Since then, he built his reputation on one of California's top, most expensive trial lawyers, representing Venice Beach hotel owner charged with murder, an NBA player facing domestic assault charges on a 22-year-old Bakersfield man who stabbed his brother in self-defense. He managed to avoid jail time for all of them. Let me go down here. Gargle hard liquor. I don't drink, Peggy. I don't drink. I can't drink. I can't drink. All right, let's go back to this. Let's move on. I hate this. How do I get out of the Zoom? Stop Zooming. I don't want to Zoom anymore. No Zoom. Let's see. All right, let me present this again. There we go. Move along. All right, Jackson gets more than 100 representation requests monthly. Wow, that's very impressive. But the subject of Reed's line email stood out. Murder of a Boston cop. He clicked on it and read her plea. I'm fighting for my life against a blue wall, and therefore I'm marshaling whatever resources and advice I can find. On a call with Reed, Jackson agreed to share his cell phone data-related motions and asked to hear more about her case. After learning that she was being accused of fatally hitting O'Keefe with her SUV, the lawyer asked to see photos of O'Keefe's injuries. Reed immediately sent over a few, revealing Keith's bruised and swollen eye and cut above his right eye. But it was O'Keefe's right arm, which looked like had been clawed, and caused Jackson to exclaim, "That's an animal attack." And the funny thing is I remember Karen actually telling me about this, the first time they had a conversation with Jackson, and they were going through her file. And I can kind of add a little bit more here, but they're going through a file and he's going, okay, tell me more. And she said, I have, photos of the injuries. Did you want to see them? So of course. And she sends them over and he goes, wait a minute. This is what Karen told me. He goes, wait a minute. That is an animal attack. Now he's really engaged, she says. He's fully engaged. And he says, tell me more. And, they went more in her case, but it was funny. She goes, the minute I sent him the photo and he saw his John's arm, he went, wait a minute. That is an animal attack, flat out animal attack. And, again, they just went on. So it says Jackson later said by phone, there's any medical examiner or DA that led the investigators out there claiming this is from a car. That's bullshit. And if that's not true, what else isn't true? So we'll go on here a little bit. So the defense's theory, and oh gosh, I love it. That's the name. That's the name that I always thought. So the police's theory of what happened that night is evident in the charges. Excuse me. But with Reed and her defense team, they believe that happens to be involved the fatal fusion of alcohol, testosterone, and bad luck. They allege that O'Keefe encountered some combination of Brian Higgins. And that's why I have it underlined. I think you can all figure out why. If I can't have her, you can't. I'll just say that. If I can't have her, you can't. That's kind of the vibe I've always gotten from all of this. And Colin Albert in the basement. They had a fight that turned dangerously violent. According to O'Keefe's Apple Health data at 2:20 a.m., about the time when Reed dropped the police officer off and took 80 steps, the equivalent of half a football field, and went up or down 3 floors. Witnesses inside the Albert home that night deny O'Keefe ever went inside. The defense theory holds up that O'Keefe's body was moved into the yard. Reed's defense offers possible catalysts for the disagreement, such as, Higgins' flirtation with Reed. If I can't have you, he's not going to have you either. I've kind of always felt that and said that all along. Higgins, who testified he did not encounter O'Keefe after the bar, did not respond to Vanity Fair's question. None of these people want to talk. None of these people want to talk. You notice that? None of these people want to talk. Another is that as O'Keefe allegedly antagonist relationship with Colin Albert, who lived 2 doors down from him. I always thought if I can't have her, you can't have her. According to Reed, the teenager regularly dumped beer bottles and cans on the lawn. Colin testified that there was no animosity between O'Keefe, that he left the Alberts' home that night around midnight before O'Keefe was dropped off. Do not respond to Vanity Fair. Again, another one that doesn't want to fucking talk to Vanity Fair. This is your opportunity. Put it in print. Put it out there. They don't want to do anything because they know they get used against them in court. None of these people want to fucking talk. Why is that? Oh, because they're lying. Or the idea that Brian Albert might have been simply irritated by the likes of O'Keefe, who had given special accommodations by the Boston police after his sister's death, like a desk job with flexible hours. I could see how someone could look at John and say, I'm a real cop. I'm the head of a fugitive unit, and I've been in the drug unit, the gang unit. Reed's imagines to me. Albert's spokesperson, Greg Henning, like a fucking spokesperson. Just talk. Denies the idea that he was ever had a beef or a physical altercation. I still think it's, right, yeah, that guy right there. He adds Albert's attention to fundraisers to support Keefe. He noted that the Alberts attended Keefe's wake to give grief with the family. Okay, let's move on. I'm going to have to exit this damn screen again and share it again. I apologize 1,000 times. O'Keefe wake and grieve the family. In any of the scenarios, the defense team believes that Albert's German Shepherd Chloe was the factor. It's funny. She attacked John, but didn't hear any of those first responders coming down the street, huh? To howl like I showed earlier. Isn't that amazing how that works? Says she was being kept in the basement part of the night because she's not great with strangers. Albert admits to the court. She's not great with other dogs either. Well, she's an attack dog. She has a bad temper, probably the result of her owner, because a lot of dogs will replicate their owner's personalities. The dog is sweet. If the owner is sweet, the dog is probably going to be sweet. If the owner's a dick, the dog's probably going to be a dick. A Canton resident told Vanity Fair that in 2018, she was walking her golden doodle past the Albert's yard when Chloe attacked her dog so aggressively that she was not able to stop the German Shepherd until someone emerged from the Albert home and called Chloe's name. Isn't that amazing how that happened? The dog owner took her dog covered in blood to a veterinarian who told Chloe needed to be reported to animal control based on the severity and the location of the bite. The vet said it looked as though Chloe wanted to kill the dog. But then when the woman called the Canton police, she was told animal control was out and the police could not tell her, when the animal control officer would be back. But after she left the information to the Canton police, she says that Kevin Albert, Brian Albert's brother, a Canton cop, contacted the woman's husband and messaged them from the police chief. How can we make this thing go away? End quote. Neither Kevin or Canton PD responded to Vanity Fair's question. Again, no one on that side is talking. Just answer the questions. The woman became so nervous while walking the Albert home. Afterwards, she carried pepper spray. About 3 months after O'Keefe's death, Chloe attacked another dog and bit a woman who tried to intervene. That woman confirmed with Vanity Fair. Another woman was injured while trying to help. The Alberts subsequently rehomed their dog of 7 years. Sure. Let's see. The only major change to the Alberts family in 2023, Albert retired from law enforcement due to a shoulder injury occurred on the job, says Henning, his spokesperson. None of these people want to talk. And the maximum pension that he was reached. The same year, the Alberts sold their home on Fairview and had been with the family in decades. Henning denies that either decision was related to the case. He says the family considered selling in 2021, sure, before O'Keefe's death, and eventually did because Albert's children were grown up and moved out. When the new owners moved, the flooring had been removed from the basement, where Reed's defense team claimed the fatal altercation with O'Keefe took place, but Henning said that there was a modification that the real estate agent suggests following 2021 water damage, among other updates. Sure. I believe whatever happened to John was a setup to teach him a lesson and tune him up, and it was out of control. No one would choose to kill someone of their own home and set up sloppily, Reed tells me. But where her willingness to make sense of everything ends, I hold the district attorney who passed the bar and went to law school in higher standard. The power that the district attorney has with any given country is staggering. It's scary, she said. He can bring all the resources of the state to try to get a pound of flesh, which I believe that he's doing. And I said this all along. They're going to keep continuing this thing on and on and on and on, because they need Karen to be the fall person in all of this, because Karen will hide all of the corruption. It'll make it all go away. If she's away and she's not rattling the cage, if she's away, put her away, and she's not poking, going, hey, it's like what they did to Turtle Boy. Throw him in jail. Why? Because he was poking. He's going, hey, something wrong here. This is not the truth. It's the same thing with Karen. Reed spent her first months of O'Keefe's mourning him, reminiscing and trying to distract herself from the predicament. She wallpapered the house, cooked with her mother, and read. In which, pretending was a friend. I told my parents, if I did anything in any way, I'll pay my dues, she said. That's how she would work. I want to know the truth, good, bad, or ugly. She hired a private investigator, even sought out materials to prove she was. She hired a private investigator, even sought out materials that could prove she was guilty, like security footage from the Albert home. But the Alberts said they installed the camera his wife gave him. Nor was the security footage from the homes on the street. I talked about this earlier. The homeowner across from the Alberts, who works for the Canton police, told Reed's private investigator that his cameras did not pick anything up from 34 Fairview. All right, well, let's see it. Security footage from the library that Reed drove by at 12:37 to 12:39 should have shown whether a taillight was smashed, but the 2 precious minutes time frame the video was missing when the Commonwealth turned it over to Reed's team. It's so convenient how that happened, huh? Reed said, I never texted him on January. Let's see. Reed poured over tens of thousands of pages of legal firing police reports. She played the waterfall security footage on repeat. She had scanned every text shot in Google search of O'Keefe's phone for buried clues. Initially, it was difficult to look at O'Keefe's autopsy photos, torture to imagine. What did he feel? Was he freezing? Was he waiting for me to come back? She scoured social media, going down the rabbit hole of Facebook posts featuring Proctor and various Albert family members, even a post where Proctor's mom called Chris and Colin Albert her second family. So the trial. Listen, I want to just thank everybody here for being here tonight. Thank you for your generous donations. 25% of that will get kicked back to Karen Reed's Defense Fund tonight, and I appreciate that. If you're your first time over here on the channel tonight, or you're just watching this video on replay, make sure to like, share, and subscribe and comment on this video. YouTube is shadow banning my channel, and they're hiding it from it being discovered. They're doing really funky things with my memberships and my subscribers. So the best thing to do is to make sure that you're here on Monday, Wednesdays, and Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to take part in my lives. And I really do. Again, I appreciate everybody being here. So it goes on to say, when the trial began in April, meanwhile, Adam Lally, a prosecutor who worked with Norfolk County DA since 2010, assured the court that Proctor had no conflicts. These are not people that know each other, Lally said. The prosecution produced 68 witnesses, at least 9 of them who were related to the Albert by blood or marriage. Reed had 6, including a snowplow driver employed by Canton, Lucky Lawfren. Lally did not respond. None of these people want to talk. None of these people want to talk. Leading up to the trial, Reed's team struggled to get basic discovery items like crime scene photos. Even that was a fight, Elizabeth Little said. We did numerous discovery requests, filled motions to compel. We even had JPEG copies of the photographs of zero metadata that were blurry and useless. After 7 months of litigation, it comes out that they didn't have the original photos. Unreal. They came from a phone. The phone doesn't exist anymore. Initially, you would think is incompetence. The more we dug, the more we realized that the stuff we were looking for was never gathered in the first place, being intentionally withheld. It became hard to believe this is all an accident or a mistake. It's insane. Glitter says, I found out recently they're doing to all creators. When you search any case on mainstream media, channels come up. It's so frustrating. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I'm going to have to go through this. I don't like, or am I doing this wrong? Why is it still zooming? I don't want it to zoom. Let's see. It's still zooming. Why is it zooming? Stop zooming. Oh, there we go. Okay. Getting to the end here. Proctor seemed problematic, conflicted from the onset. The investigators appeared to social media photos with various Alberts and McCabe's during 2012. Though Proctor sees Reed's car and phone the day of O'Keefe, the interview went unrecorded. This is unbelievable. Proctor's sister, Courtney, is such good friends with the Albert's sister-in-law, Julie, that they shared 67 phone calls in 7 months after Reed's arrest. I wonder what was on those when there's in those conversations. What do you think they were talking about? The taillight was not the only discrepancy that came up at trial. The snowplow driver, Lucky, a witness of Reed's defense, was adamant that he saw no body when he drove by at 2:45. Struck with a high vantage point and bright lights, it was noted he was consistently scanned for priority obstacles. When he passed the house the second time at 3:15 a.m., he saw a Ford Edge, the same model that Albert drives, parked out front. That's why they don't want to show the camera footage. She's going to see all that. It's unusual, he said, because the Albert family normally doesn't park in the street. It was standard protocol for him to call the vehicle on the side of the road. During cross-examination, the prosecutor presented a different timeline, calling into question the driver's account. As a courtesy to the Alberts, whom he's known for decades, he did not call it in. Man, I wish he would have made that call, Lucky. And that's it. That's part one, people. That is part one. Please smash the like button. It helps. That's part one. And I plan on going through part two. Possibly going to do that on Wednesday night. I'm still contemplating if I'm going to come back. Probably not going to do a live tomorrow night. I'm going to do probably a members only if I do one. I do want to come in on Monday night and do some work here more in the studio. I got another TV to hang. I want to start getting this green room area all cleaned up. I just got my couch in there the other day. So, we're getting there. It's starting to really shape up in here. I'm really happy with it. Really, really happy with it. So let's do this. Sophie, what is the total? What is the total we came up with tonight? Thank you. It's still a work in progress, but we're getting there. I will have some more Enrique Delgado Garcia information coming out soon. I just have to go through that. I have a copious amount of notes to go through. So I will be doing another show on that soon. All right. So the total is 327. Peggy, thank you. Thank you, Peggy. I could not do all of this without any of you. You all make this channel go around. So we're at 327. Let's go to 330. Money's 25%. Be 82.50. Let's make it 85. Let's make it 85 tonight for Karen Reed's Defense Fund. I'll get that donated. I'll post it up, the receipt, on my Facebook page, and I'll post it on my YouTube community page. Yes. So good stuff tonight. Nice to see everybody. I'm super happy here in the studio. Again, things are coming along really great. I can't wait to start having some humans back in here again. We can start having some conversations. But all good. Cameras are working great. Lighting is great. And it's going well. So I think with that, that's going to end this live for tonight. I appreciate everybody being here. If you're catching this after, let's make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below. Likes are huge. I need some likes. Let's add this in. Another $10. Congrats on the new studio. So we'll bring that up to $340. It's going to probably, like I said, put us around $85. So we'll get that in tonight. $85 over for Karen Reed's Defense Fund. I appreciate everybody kind of hanging along with me. And wow, big chat that just came in. Let's make sure we get this one in. Don't run away yet, everybody. Catherine, thank you so much. $50. A big $50 came in. So we were at what, 340 plus another 50. We'll round it to 400. 25 off that is $100. 100 smackaroos we'll give back to Karen. She says, you and Karen Reed, thanks for you all that you do. Courtney, thank you so much. $10. $10 says, love the new space. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. Yes. So we'll give Karen 100 buckaroos back. 100 buckaroos to her defense fund tonight. So I'll make that happen. Like I said, I'll post up the receipt on my Facebook page and my YouTube community page. Probably going to take tomorrow night off to do some work here in the studio. We have Karen's hearing on the 6th. The 6th is, gosh, what is that? Wednesday? So I'm probably going to stream that, and I definitely will be back Wednesday night. Let's see. Tuesday's election day. Wednesdays are hearing, so I'll probably stream that. If I get the link over to it, we'll do that live here. And then Wednesday night, I'll come back, or maybe I'll do next Sunday night as part 2. So I'm a little bit behind. Like I said, I'm catching up things here in the studio. We'll make some content. And I appreciate everybody here. Thank you. Like, share, and subscribe. I love all of you. I'll talk to everybody soon. Make sure to connect on all my socials. Look me up. LTL Media on Facebook. LTL Media on Twitter. I am very interactive on both of those platforms. If you're not getting my notifications, you will know when I do my live streams or anything that's being updated here in the LTL timeline. All right, everybody. Thank you all so much tonight for your support, your love, your conversation. I love all of you. Thank you for being here in the chat. And I'll talk to everybody soon. Have a great night. And I'm going to hit the outro. Bye-bye. Peace.